Black feminist artist Betye Saar. Betye Saar was a black feminist artist born in 1926 who started her movement in 1968. That was around the time that MLK was assassinated. Since then, she began her movement, but only political art. She was a part of the Black arts movement and feminist movement. She still felt like an outcast, though. She felt as if the art industry was dominated by men and the feminist movement was dominated by white women. She is known for taking racism hands-on. She used lots of Jim Crow racist representation in her arts like mammy dolls. She used those dolls for a greater meaning, which became revolutionary because of how she tackled racism in her art and made it powerful. Not only did she tackle racism, but she shed light on black femininity and making a way for future black feminists out there. The Liberation of Aunt Jemima. The Liberation of Aunt Jemima, 1972. This was one of Betty's first political artworks. She did on Aunt Jemima, one of the most famous Mammy dolls, as she's on the maple syrup bottle. In the sculpture, you can see Mammy doll is holding a broom in one hand and a rifle in the other. In the middle is a picture of a Mammy doll holding a white baby. This is liberating to black women because it allows them to get their freedom back. We all know that Mammy dolls were black women who took care of their slave masters' children. By putting a rifle in the Mammy doll's hand, black women are made to feel more empowered. One, because they no longer have to be used by white men no more, and two, because they're able to stand up for themselves. This artwork is very liberating and a big part of the feminist movement. One, because it's very empowering for black women, as we were always looked upon as Mammy dolls or very racist slurs. As you can see in the picture, you can see it's a very racist Mammy doll, but at the end of the day, she's holding a rifle and gaining her freedom back, which is very uplifting, again, to black women. To Catch a Unicorn. To Catch a Unicorn, 1960. This is one of Betty's early works before the just political feminist era. This picture is known to broadcast women's femininity. The picture shows a nude black woman next to a unicorn. The moon in the background symbolizes women's femininity in many cultures, which is why it's used in the painting. The woman is supposed to be a virgin and the only one that can tame the unicorn, which goes back to the title, To Catch a Unicorn. This gives power to women as it symbolizes we are the ones in control. If you take a look at the picture, you can see it's a nude black woman, not completely nude, but you can see her breasts, but also a cast of shadow over her. Behind her, you can see the unicorn, which is very liberating, and in the moon, which broadcasts as femininity overall.
This work by Edelson makes use of the signifying power that religious art, and specifically the Last Supper, has and transforms it into a feminist work. Everyone except Judas has a woman artist of the time plastered on top, except Judas, so as not to insult anyone. This work was done to not only display these artists, but also to challenge the exclusivity of the patriarchal art world, in which women artists did not get their deserved representation. This work was also created during the year 1972, which is significant because it is the same year Title IX was passed. This work by Kruger was made under similar political circumstances today. In response to the chipping of Roe v. Wade in 1989 and in solidarity with the protesting of new anti-abortion measures, Kruger made this work. The text conveys that women have to constantly fight to maintain any kind of autonomy. It is a battleground, and the unnerving reversed halves of the photo are a reflection of the grim nature of American politics and its attitude towards women.
Mendieta was originally a Cuban-born native that ended up getting exiled from her home country. As a visual artist, Mendieta changed the modern art period in a way that will significantly impact future generations to come, involving the idea of what is femininity and women empowerment. Her mediums mostly focus on sculpting, painting, and photography being her most recognizable work. Her artwork became influential throughout the 1970s and 1980s, as Mendieta executed an unusual approach surrounding artwork femininity from an intimate standpoint. All the visual artworks are directly related to land art or earth art to form a more abstract approach to symbolism connecting to her cultural roots from Cuba. Mendieta's religious practice of Santeria heavily inspired her artwork series of Untitled Chapter. Often, her artwork would address the darker subjects that weren't really touched upon, such as sexual assaults, murder, nature of destruction, which some of the viewers found to be disturbing at times, but she chose to voice as an advocate against the act of violence. Her artwork spoke volumes when it came to the ideals surrounding the belief of connecting one's spirit with nature, and view for life for what it is in the natural world. Okay, now moving on to her actual artwork. This was an actual photo that was taken by Anna, and actually cool fact that is most of the time she would portray herself as a form of subject in these photographs most of the time. And whenever she actually first started her silhouette photograph series, most of them actually did take place in Mexico, which this one in particular did. As a matter of fact, this is her first one, and she started this silhouette art series back in like 1973. And this was due to the fact that she wanted to incorporate like some of her roots from Cuba, and she was also practicing a religious belief of Santeria at the time. So she kind of wanted to incorporate that, but also conveying the message of feminism. Speaking of feminism, her artwork mostly focused on earthbound elements of nature in order to promote a newfound symbolism in visuals, as she captured moments that represented the embodiment of femininity. In this particular photograph, it's actually Anna Mendieta who wanted to depict the image of her own gravesite and like what it might look like in death. The white flowers could possibly be seen as her kindred spirit being connected to the flowers. It is not only showing a clear distinction of her gender, but it also conveys the message of spiritual manifestation that can turn into something beautiful in nature. I also wanted to mention the fact on whenever it comes to the color white, I think in this particular photograph, I think she wanted to hint the significance on purity, especially when it comes to reiterating the fact on the symbolic ways of color and usually what it means. I think usually when it comes to flowers, a white flower would usually mean to purify something. So I believe that in this clear photo that she wanted to purify her spirit